Good evening and namaste to everyone. I am Motiram Sijapati and you are watching English Today. English Today is particularly designed to enable the learners learn various language aspects and strategies as well as skills. English Today can be viewed through Facebook, social media, especially YouTube and Deuti as the television. You can subscribe our channel, especially Deuti SD, and you can view our program and you can get regular updates of any type of segments held in our program. So last week we dealt with reading comprehension, which carries around 40 marks in the test, and this week we are going to deal about writing a news story. Before going further, let me talk about the preparation and practice of class 10 students. The students who are studying in class 10 have prepared a lot, and due to the postponement of SEE, they might have forgotten or they may forget what they studied and what they prepared. So, to take their preparation simultaneously, we have thought of carrying our program, or we have thought of giving the guidances and the feedback to the students who are appearing for SEE. And today we will be learning about writing a news story. And before going further, let me talk about the overview of the episode. First, we'll be dealing with the definition, followed by elements of writing a news story. After that, we will learn about the structure of a news story, and then we'll learn order of news story. After learning the orders, we'll go for the evaluation rubrics, and finally, we will summarize today's episode. That's the overview of today's program, and first let me talk about the first segment, definition of a news story. Many of us are quite confused about the difference in story and news story. And while I go through the papers or answers written by some of the students, I found them beginning a news story from once upon a time and ending it with the moral. They especially are not known about the difference in story and news story. That's why they commit the mistake. Bother not, we have the solution, and we are coming here to provide you the solution that is required to you to enhance your writing skill. Especially if we talk about writing, or if we talk about the definition of news story, it is a written or printed story in any newspaper which talks about issues, events, problems, accidents, and some other things, and make the readers know about it. So it is the news story which makes others know what had happened, what is going to happen, and what is going to take place. So it just solves, it just addresses the curiosity, the happenings, and the things that happened around you. So that is the definition of news story. So let me go further, and now there are the elements of news story. If there are no elements in news story, it cannot be composed of, it cannot go further. So there are many elements, but I have taken some of the elements so that the students will learn about writing the news story and the ingredients that are required to compose a news story, to write a news story. So first and foremost topic, especially factor in writing news story, is timeliness. Especially timeliness means when do you write a news story? Many incidents, many events may happen. But if you don't deal with those events and accidents immediately after they happen, then it will be worthless to circulate the news after so long time. So heat the iron while it is hot. Like that, when some accidents take place nearby you, around you, it is your duty to write at the right moment. And if you get delayed and if you just circulate the news after the long time, it will not be valid as it already goes in the market and it already is known by all the viewers. So timeliness is one of the most important elements in writing a news story. Secondly, there is oddity. Oddity is defined as peculiarity, especially strangeness. If there are the usual things happening around you, suppose that you go to school regularly, you come from the school regularly, and you do your homework regularly, and others, especially if you are businessmen, you do your work regularly, and if you are the persons, especially doctors and other persons related to different professions and occupations, that is your usual job. But what becomes a story, it must be strange, it must be peculiar, so that it attracts the attention of the reader and it becomes news. Suppose that one example we can give, a dog bites a man. It is a quite usual term and it cannot be a story, but a man bites a dog, it is quite catchy and quite odd. It brings strangeness and it is peculiar. So if you want to make the news story, it must be peculiar, it must be unusual, it must be strange. That's the way your readers will be attracted to read it. They will be focused to the news item and they will learn and they will go through the pages that you have written in a news story. And after that, there is the prominence. Prominence means popularity and significance. Suppose that if you are talking about one of the well-known persons from the sports, from the politics, from the society and culture, it will give the value. But if you have been writing about the person who is unknown to the society, who is unknown to the politics, who is unknown to the sports, then it is quite difficult to get the readers because they have not got the trademark in the sense that they are not famous in the market. So your news story should catch to those aspects which are supposed to be prominent. So if you just talk about the present scenario, now what is the prominence? We are talking about coronavirus nowadays because it is the well-known pandemic, and that's why everyone is talking about coronavirus. So if we are going to write a news story, this disease can be taken as the as the main news story, so that everyone will read it. And if we are going to talk about sports, politics, and other terms also, then we need to think about the prominence and popularity of the person or thing that we are going to write for. After that, there is human interest. So especially if we are going to catch the interest of the reader, we must be surveying, or we must survey what the people want, what is the demand of the people, and what topics should be covered in the news story. Nowadays, if we talk about the market, everything has been the price of everything is raising. And if we talk about price hike due to the fear of coronavirus, it may hit the floor. And similarly, if we are going to talk about some of the issues which can catch the interest of the public, of the people, then it can be the good news story. Then there is consequence. Everything brings consequence, especially if we talk about the consequences. It may be a negative consequence. Suppose that if there is an accident, it may bring the negative consequence, and if there is something good, it may bring the positive consequence also. Positive, especially we can talk the result, and negative consequence. So what are the consequences of an event? It also should be thought of well before we go to the to writing, before we go to write news story. After that, there is proximity. It is nearness. If we talk about the proximity, it indicates the nearness, the distance. Suppose that if we are staying or residing in Karnali province, and if we are talking about the news that happened in USA, many of the people may not take it seriously because it is quite distant issue. But if we talk about Birendranagar Surkhet, the capital of Karnali province, then many of the readers will be interested to read it because it is nearby them, and the issue may have happened nearby them, so that everyone will try to see, everyone will try to read the news story. So proximity is one of the elements of writing a news story. Then if we just go proximate, after that proximity, after that there is conflict. If we talk about the conflict, there comes curiosity when there is conflict. If we talk about any of the human behaviors, it is propelled by dialectical relationship. There is the conflict everywhere. In class, there is class conflict. If I'm talking about the class conflict, means it is the conflict between different strata. If we talk about politics, there is conflict. And if we talk about education, there is conflict. And no field is untouched by conflict. So, if there is no conflict, there is no fun. So, to write a news story, you must incorporate such news story that brings conflict, that brings argument, that brings debate, and that brings the topic to be dealt with logical reasoning. And if you try to write such a topic in news story, it certainly catches the attention of the readers, and it will be read by maximum of the readers. After the conflict, there is impact. Impact refers the influence. What does it impact? So if we talk about the impact of anything, the topic may bring the impact in the society. It may bring the influence in the society, but a news writer should think in that way also. Now, let us go to the structure of news story. News story is always written in three structures, but we want to tell you to follow inverted pyramid. Inverted pyramid takes the most important news items, the most important information at the beginning, followed by less and least important information. So, prioritizing the most important information and keeping that in descending order makes the readers find out the most important information at the beginning, and later on they will be dealing, or they will be finding to the less important information. So if we just write the least important information at the beginning, then the readers may lose the interest and they will flip through other pages. So it is quite important to write the most important information first and less in the middle and least at the last. Now let me talk about order of news story. If we write a news story haphazardly, we cannot expect to secure good marks, because news story has a system of writing and system must be followed. Otherwise, we cannot say, or we cannot tell ourselves as good writers. So what must be considered and what is the order of news story writing should be known, should be learned by the students and teachers as well. So first, if we talk about news story writing and the system of writing news story, we must begin with the headline. Headline is one of the most important ingredients in writing news story. If your headline is not enticing, if your headline is not interesting and catchy, your readers will not read it and your handwriting will be supposed as a poor handwriting. Poor handwriting never catches the attention of the readers. It must be creative and attention grabbing. It must work as a hook so that the readers will be attracted. Otherwise, they will not go through your written news story. So while you write a news story, you don't write ambiguous words there. You can write the words which give clear meaning to the readers, and that can cover the information that you are going to write. After that, there is byline. Byline is the name of author who is going to write the news story. If my name is Motiram Sijapati, then Motiram Sijapati is the name of author and it must follow, it must come after the headline. Then after, there is place line. Place line indicates where did the event happen, where did the event take place. And if we are not writing the name where the event take place, then it creates confusion in the viewers and they may leave your writing, especially news story, without reading. So better to mention the name of the place where the incident happened. After the place line, there is lead. It is the most important line which answers 5 W's and 1 H. What are 5 W's? let me talk about that. Who? Especially, who was the person that suffered? Maybe in accident, maybe in some of the disputes. Who participated there? The name of the person should be written in the first paragraph so that there will be no any confusion. There will be no any problem in finding out who was the sufferer. After that, what was the event? What had happened? It must be written in the first paragraph to bring the clarity, to bring the concrete idea in the front burner. After what, there is where. You must write the location. You must write the spot where the incident took place. If you are not writing the spot and only writing the long news story, thinking that you are writing a lot of contents there and you probably will secure good marks in the examination, it will be incorrect, because you must be precise, you must be accurate, and you must deal with all these systematic ingredients well. Then there are the chances of securing good marks, and there are the chances in learning writing skills in writing news story. After that, there is when. It talks about timeline. If we are just writing a news story after a week or after 2 days, it does not remain a news. News must be an immediate reflection of events. And if that is not immediate, if that is not fresh, then there are the chances of avoiding that news, because nobody prefers eating stale food, especially if anyone is health conscious, then he or she avoids eating stale food. Similar is the case of news story writing. So, catch it when it happens. Catch it very fast and express it very fast. That's why there are high chances of getting maximum readers in the news story. After that, when we write these 5 segments, especially who, what, where, when, especially who, then we need to answer why in the second paragraph. We need to mention the reason about happening the incident, about happening the accident. If we don't mention the reason, then the curiosity of many of the viewers will not be satisfied. They will not get what their query was. Their query won't be answered, and if they don't get the answer in their query, then they will leave it unread. After that, after why, there is how. How did the accident happen? How did the event take place? What was the way? What was the way that caused that accident? You must manage it, you must tell it, you must write it, and it supports your ideas. And after writing these all things in the first paragraph and second paragraph, especially you must write who, what, where, when in the first paragraph, followed by why and how in the second paragraph. So there must be at least 3 paragraphs while you write news story. And after that, there is quotations. No one can believe if you don't mention the names of eyewitness. Eyewitness can claim about the events, about the accidents, about the issues, and they work as proof. And if you write the name of the person or quotations quoted by them, then it collects or it gathers the evidences, and if there are the evidences can be believed. Nobody believes you if you write only the words, but everyone will believe you if you give the proofs and evidences. If you give the proofs and evidences, then the chances of believing your news story are high. After that, you must know about your evaluation rubrics while you write the news story. If you write the news story in a systematic way, and if you write all the content correctly, appropriately, without leaving any signs of imperfection, then there is the possibility that you will secure 5 out of 5 marks in your examinations. So, what are the areas to be observed, and what do the person check while you write your news story is your content knowledge. Your content knowledge carries 2.5 marks in the examination. And then second one, there is the format. Format carries 1.5 marks. So adding both of them together, 2.5 and 1.5 equals 4. And there remains 1 mark. 1 mark is given for your accuracy. Accuracy in grammar, accuracy in writing, and accuracy in orthographic convention. So if you manage these all things time-wise, perfectly, without leaving any imperfections, then there is the certainty that you will secure 5 out of 5. So I talked about these ways of writing news story. Now let me summarize today's episode. First, writing news story is not similar to writing story. And if you are still doubted about writing story and news story, and if you have any queries about it, you can leave your queries in the comment box also. That's why we can answer your queries with correct solutions. And after clearing, or after knowing, or after learning the difference between stories and news story, you must be aware about the elements of news story. And these elements, especially timeliness, oddity, prominence, human interest, consequence, proximity, conflict, and impact. Then we must know, or we must learn the structure of news story writing, which is inverted pyramid, or we can look it in our book as an opposite triangle. Most important information should be kept at the beginning, followed by less and least important information. After that, there is the system of writing news story. First, you must write headline, followed by byline, place line, then lead, first, second, and third paragraphs, and there must be the quotation segment like that. As for example, the cause of accident was the influence of liquor, according to DSP. The DSP stated. So similarly, we can finish writing news story. So today we learned very much. We learned a lot about writing the news story, and we expect that you will provide us, or you will forward your queries and questions in our comment box, so that we can directly deal with your queries and provide with the solutions. Stay tuned. We'll be coming up with the new title, A Letter to the Editor, in the next week's program. Till then, I program host Motiram Sijapati, expecting your regular view towards the improvement of our program, and thinking that you will be regularly watching our program. Would like to say goodbye. Have a good time ahead.